Okay, we're revolving a simple shape in Illustrator 3D, and all I did to create this was to draw a diagonal line. That's all it is. I'll go to my outline view, and you can see that's all it is. It's a red stroke I did with the line segment tool, and then revolved it using the 3D function. Okay, actually that was the first click that I made. It revolves it 360 degrees. Now, just like you can with the extrude, you got the little box here where you can turn the object and see other views of it. You can see that underneath now it's open, and seeing it from this side. You can change the light. Sometimes the light just really makes a dramatic difference where you put the light. And this is the plastic shading, which in my opinion is the most, well, it's got that shiny surface, and so it really looks the most 3D. Okay, now some of the interesting things with this is there's a way to do sort of a cutaway view. Now imagine if I take this and make it less than 360 degrees. See how it has cut part of it away? I'll put it right there, and then we'll rotate it around. And you can see there's a cut out of the side of it. Can you see that? Okay. You can change the amount or increase the amount of the opening. But it's a way to do what we think of as a cutaway or a partial view of something. By changing the light, you can kind of see that opening now in there. Okay, make it 360, and it'll be a solid. All right, same options here. There's this offset that I've been just really recently discovering. It's like the offset path that we saw when we did the pattern swatch, where you drew a shape and then you offset it by a certain amount. If you offset this, it takes the anchor points here and offsets them by 65 points. And so I've got this opening now here at the top. Let me turn the object over and you'll see, I think, what I mean. See how you can see it? It's like an open cone now. Okay, and again, by adjusting the lighting, you can really see the difference there. All right, so that's kind of neat. You can change the shading color and do all the other stuff that we looked at last time. You can offset it to the left, you can offset it to the right. When you offset it to the right, it sort of flips it in the kind of the opposite way. And again, if you bring it back closer to 0, there's the original shape that we had. Just flips. It flips the revolve in the opposite direction. Okay. Now let's see here. I want to OK that and zoom in so we can see it a little better. Okay. All right. Just like with the extrude and bevel, you're not necessarily completely finished. If you want, you can continue to make adjustments on this. If I select a single anchor point and move it closer to the point of the revolve, you can see how it's now changing the shape of that cone. If I take this edge, I can broaden it out or tighten it up this way till I'm almost completely just a tube, almost a single bar. Okay, now you can also do this pen tool. Anything you can do to a line, you can still do to this path. So I just added an anchor point. I'm going to take my direct selection tool and bend this, and you can see now what I'm getting. Okay, you can add as many anchor points as you want here. Almost starting to look like machine parts or something here. Now it looks like a vase or an opening or something. Okay, and you can add two. See how it just keeps changing the shape? Okay, with the pen tool and the option key, you can put curves in instead of angles. Nice. Okay. Now it's got a bulge right there. And now a bulge right there. So it's all rounded kind of looking. Okay, select here and make this more extreme. Okay, you can get to a point where Illustrator doesn't know quite what to do with it. And it's kind of shooting in the dark. You just have to try it and then see what happens. And I get in a situation where I wish I could revolve this thing, but look what happens if you try to rotate it over. Remember, it's centered around a revolve, and it's going to stay on that revolve. If I try to rotate it here, it still tries to respond to that revolve. Okay, so, oh, there's an odd shape. Okay, but if I get a shape that I like, and I really do wish I could turn it a little bit, there is one thing you can do. If you'll select it, go to Object and Expand Appearance. Now it is a series of many, many paths. Where it was just one path, now it is a whole bunch of paths. In fact, you can see them all there as I zoom in on this object now. Now, this is outline view. Okay, in preview, it looks pretty much like it did before, and as I select it, I can rotate it and maybe try to like center it up. Okay, so there is that way of doing it. It was under Object Expand Appearance. As you expand, it gives you some other options as well. Now, in addition to that, and this is true on the others too. You can expand these. If you click these and go to Expand Appearance. Now, instead of it's a bit like Outline Type, it has a whole bunch of paths instead of being a font. It turns into a whole bunch of paths. Okay. In preview, they look pretty much the same way they did. Sometimes they look a little grainier, and there may be some skips and things in there. This one actually looks pretty good, even when I zoom in close. Now, there are some other options that I've kind of discovered over the years. As I run my mouse over that, you can see all the different paths that are involved. You can select those with the white arrow. You can select those sort of individually, hold the Shift key down, and you can select multiples. And not only that, but you can, if you go to your fill option and your swatch panel, you can change the colors of them too, so you can get effects like that. Okay, and that was just white arrow. You find, and you can actually see them in there if you look really, zoom in really close. There's one. There. I'm using the Shift key to select multiples, and then fill them with color. And sometimes you get some pretty, I don't know, likable response from the software. Okay, kind of nice. You can take, with the direct selection tool, sometimes you can have fun just by cutting across like this and then changing a color. And it did too much that time. Anyway, sometimes that works. Evidently not all the time. Let me just see if I can select a range of colors here, or a range of paths. Yeah, it's kind of doing too much. So maybe not. Maybe it's better to do this way and see how it turns out. Okay, so that's Revolve. There's a couple other things I want to show you with Revolve. Now that was Revolve with Expand. Okay, let's go back and do a simple Revolve. If you turn on your grid and then think about a vessel maybe shaped like this, I'm kind of thinking of maybe like a water bottle, and draw half the profile of a water bottle. See if I can get the pen tool to work here. Helps if you got the pen. Okay, click. Use the shift key to draw a perfect square. Come down here. I'll come down here, draw a curve. Maybe continue with the shift key. Click here. Come back around to here. And yeah, that's not exactly what I meant to do. Let me add to. That's kind of what I was wanting to do. Okay, so I've drawn half the bottle. Select it. Make sure you've got it fully selected. Go to Effect and Revolve. Turn on the preview, and you can see that I've drawn like a little bottle shape here. Okay. Change the lighting. So for symmetrical objects, it's just terrific. As long as this stays in the vertical, it'll continue to look like this. Now, if you want to tip it, you can. And you can see how it looks now. You can move it so you can see more of the bottom of the bottle or more of the top of the bottle. You can change the lighting so that it eliminates the shape better. Okay. Remember, you can always add another lighting source too if you like. Have it lit from both sides, or maybe two on one side, one at the bottom, maybe something like that. Okay. Okay, that. Now, once you get out of 3D, though, oh look, and there's a little problem with it. Looks like didn't quite seal up for some reason over here. Let's see if I can fix that. Go to 3D Revolve. Turn it on. Let's see why that might be doing that. I change the angle a little bit, maybe. And it's just not quite sealing. Oh, I bet this is it. I bet I know what it is. Okay, I'm gonna cancel, and I'm going to throw that away. I'll bet what it is this. These 2 points are probably not perfectly aligned. I took that point and that point. I'll do that average, and vertical. We'll see if it moves. It moved just a tiny bit, and so I'm sure that's the problem. I'll go back here and select. Go to my 3D Revolve, and now it's creating, looks like a better bottle. It's just that I had a couple of anchor points that weren't quite aligned with each other. I could have probably fixed that too outside of the 3D panel here. Okay. So anyway, same stuff that we were talking about. Get a nice light on it. Now, again, once you tip it like this, you're kind of stuck with whatever is there. You can still adjust these. But as I try to perhaps try to rotate the whole thing, it responds to the center of that original rotation. And it doesn't quite know what to do with this, I think. There it finally kind of figured it out. It was getting the inside showing on the outside, I think. Okay. And you can change things like this. Now you can also, I'll just undo a couple of moves here. Now you can also change individual points, but even then, again, it's going to be responding to the original revolve. And so you, just like we did with this shape, you can do all that stuff. And I'll go back in. You can do that less than full. So it's a split view kind of a thing. And let me see if I can make that show up better. Looks like it's having a little trouble with it too. There you go. That's pretty good. Now, this is a fill object. You notice it's a fill object. It'll look about the same if you do it as a stroke object. Let me just flip this to a stroke object, except now I can see inside of it. Isn't that neat? Okay, I just made it a stroke object, and now I can see inside of it. If you want the walls of the stroke to be a little fatter, just select it and make the stroke a little fatter. Can you see the walls of that growing a little fatter each time as I zoom in? Maybe you can see that. Turn off my grid. Pretty cool. Now you can also still change the color of it. This part, that part of it is not dependent on that Revolve interface. So absolutely, you can still go in here and change the color of it. I'm just changing the stroke color because that's all it is a stroke. Okay, there's gray, and dark gray. Doesn't work very well. There's a red. Okay. Okay, so that's the Revolve function, and just really fun to mess with. I can't say that I use it all that often, but once I get started in the classroom trying to show this stuff, I just find all kinds of stuff that I want to try to do with it, and change the look of it. Now I've got a little opening at the top of this crazy thing. And pen tool and option key and make it have a curve now. So fun to try to do stuff like that. Flip it around, change it, go back to the white arrow, move a single point at a time. Okay, so that's a lot of fun. And remember, you can also select this and do that expand if you want to just kind of stroke the colors in there. What I'd like from you is to try to figure out a way to use this in a way that where you can create an environment, create some kind of a real solution out of it. Did want to mention this? You can do that option and copy thing, where we use the option key. The command D then also works to do multiples. And if I select more than one of them at a time and go into my appearance panel, it's still there, ready for us to try to do something new with it. As I change the orientation of the form and then update it by clicking here in the gray. You can see it works, kind of works slow, but it's working. You can change the light source, and it changes it on all 5 of them at the same time. Okay, all right, that's Revolve.